Hi, my name is Tanya and welcome to Utility Jane. Today we are making a sweet and a savoury pie and a warming curry that tastes even better on the second day. So let's get started. I'm going to start by getting the quince and the apple in a saucepan and heat it up. The quince is frozen, it's fruit that we got, and I cut it up and cooked it down with honey and some spices, then just divided it up and put it into bags and put it straight into the freezer. I find that the easiest way for us to use it. Now I'm going to make a sweet pastry, which just is self-raising flour, almond flour, some sugar. I'm going to get that mixed, add a little bit of salt, some apple cider vinegar, just keeping an eye on the quince that is defrosting. We don't want it burning on the bottom. And I'm going to cut up some butter, just cube it up. I'm just using some very loose measurements. I think it was about half a block, which is about 125 grams. I'm just going to cube that up and soften it in the microwave. Got my pie dish there. I'm going to grease that with a little bit of butter, and that way I don't have to worry if the pastry is going to stick. There's a fair bit of butter in the pastry, so it's probably not going to stick, but just best to be sure. There's my melted butter. Have that mixer going and slowly add in the butter. And then if I need a little bit more moisture in the dough, then I will add a drop of water. Just letting it mix away so you don't add too much. Get it out of the bowl and get it in some paper where I can let it sit and rest and cool down, because that butter was warmed. Just mix it all together. I like to get it into a log, so because I want to make a top and a bottom or a base for the pie, so I will be dividing it up. So I like to roll it into a bit of a log and then I can divide it up way more easily. Let's see, the quince is defrosting. This is the savoury pie, and I'm going to make it in the food processor because I am using lard and some butter. So I've added flour and almond flour, salt, some pepper. This is the lard, and because I didn't want it too strong a flavour, I am going to add some butter. I don't cook with lard that often, but I had some, so I thought I would use it. I had actually been making pasties. I had some left over from that. I thought I would use that in the pie. I'm keeping an eye on the fruit that's defrosting. Now, because I'm using the food processor, this lard, it can be hard. The butter can be hard as well. It mixes through easy. I'll just put some butter in there. And some apple cider vinegar, and get that mixing. And I have a little jug of water there in case I need to add some, just to get it blended. Just pushing everything down, making sure the mix is down and it's mixing thoroughly, adding a little bit of water. And it doesn't take long until it comes together, and once it forms that ball, then we're right. That's how you want it, that it's going to stay together like that. Now I'm going to do the same and put it out and roll it on the paper into a log. Pick up all the pieces. This is gluten-free, and anyone who's gluten-free knows that gluten-free pies are expensive. In fact, we were out just the other day and I got my daughter a low gluten meat pie, and it cost $9.50. So if you can make it yourself at home, it is way better. Now this is the sweet crust that I'm cutting. I'm going to roll out divided it up because the piece for the base needs to be a little bit bigger so it comes up the sides. Then I can put the bit for the top, the piece for the top, back in the fridge, and it can stay there while I get this rolled out and in the dish. We love pies, we love apple pies, we love any kind of pie. And like I said, buying a gluten-free or a low gluten pie is very expensive. Really, as you can see, it is not hard to do at all. You can make it with your stand mixer or with a food processor, and you can make it even by hand. So it's well worth it because of the cost of things these days. If you can make yourself pies, just getting it in a circle, so I'm turning the paper as I go, just a quarter turn, just to keep rolling so it stays round. Use my pan to measure in a roundabout way. I'm not too fussed by perfection. I think it's all in the taste. It really doesn't matter whether it's perfectly rolled or in the dish. I like to pull the paper off one side and then flip it over, pull the paper on the other side because it is sticky, so I don't want to get it in the dish and find that I cannot get the other piece of paper off. So put it in the dish, just ease it down the side, just gently, and if it tears, you just push it back together again. It's very forgiving, very, very forgiving. I'm not fancy with the crust. I like it thicker so it's a nice chunky crust, but whatever is happening on the day, I am not too fussed by. Depends on how much time I have to spare, on how much time I spend on it. So it's more about so it doesn't shrink down the side too much because we par bake. And there it is there. It really hasn't taken very long. Basic ingredients, and we'll just get that in the oven. Now I'm going to work on the meat pie, just using a bit of butter to grease the second pie dish. Now we've got the savory pastry with the lard in it, just keeping an eye on that fruit. And we'll divide it up because I'm doing the same thing. I need a bigger piece for the base so it comes up the sides. This is cracking a bit on the side, I think probably because the lard has cooled off, but will persist because the worst thing to do is to not continue because of some little thing. We're not after perfection, we're after a meal that tastes good. And we've rolled it out big enough. We slowly peel that off, slowly help it down the sides because this is a deeper dish. And we'll bend over the top to get a nice crust. Some holes in the base, and we'll get that in the oven. Now I've got the sweet top back because the fruit is ready to go in. The base is nearly cooked, and slowly work my way around, rolling out a circle or a basic circle that's big enough. Get that on a tray, and I'm going to put it in the fridge. I'll put the quince and apple aside, and I've got a big pot, and I'm going to put this pre-cooked mince with all that lovely fat on the top. Just guessing how much we'll need. I cook this meat in the pressure cooker. I talk about this all the time. Pre-cooking your mince so that it's ready to go. It saves so much time. A little bit of olive oil and some basic spices. This is seasoned salt, sea salt, some pepper, and some paprika. Just basic spices. Give those a mix. I'm going to make up a slurry just to thicken that up a little bit with just a little bit of flour and some water. Give that a little mix around to make sure you have no lumps when you thicken. And I'm going to add a little bit of tomato sauce. Instead of opening a jar of paste, I just add a little bit of tomato sauce. We've got our slurry is ready, and I'm just going to pour that in and thicken that up. Now, because I have pre-cooked the mince, this is taking absolute minutes to get ready. I'm going to serve this with a side of vegetables or a salad. Just going to have a taste test. And there is the quince and apple pie base. I've got the fruit back on and warming. I've got the top for the pie out of the fridge. It's not as sticky as it was. And now I'm going to get that hot filling in the pie crust, making sure not to waste any and get it all in. I'm going to get the pie on a tray just in case we have some boil over. Saves your oven, and you can see how firmed up that top is. Just sort of slid on there. It was wonderful. And I'm going to beat an egg so that I can put it on the top. Obviously this is not something you have to do, just finishes it off nicely with a little bit of gloss. Using it on this one, and then I can use it on the savoury pie. Just put a few little air vents in the pie, and we'll get that straight back into the oven. Meanwhile, the meat sauce is ready to go, and here is the pie base. I'm going to roll out the top for it so that I can get the meat in and put the top straight on and get it back into the oven as well. So we nearly have 2 pies made in such a short amount of time because we have some prepared items, and that being the pre-cooked mince and the frozen quince and canned apple. Going to get that meat in and the top on. I nearly overfilled it too much, but it seems to be fine. I'm just going to push that down in there, top it with the egg mixture, get a bit of gloss, and sometimes I put sesame seeds on it. We'll put some air vents in it and straight into the oven. Now, because I have pre-cooked mince, I'm going to go straight into making a very delicious curry. We've got lots of frozen things here: frozen onion, capsicum, corn, peas, and celery. Some of those things that I have bought in bulk and just chopped up and put in my freezer. Another quick and easy way to get meals on the table in such a short amount of time is to have a lot of prepped vegetables in your freezer. Buy them on special and chop them all up, ready to go. Put them into Ziploc bags or containers and get them in your freezer. Get some spices in, some seasoned salt, some paprika. Going to add some pepper. This is just a basic curry. Some salt, a little bit of sugar just to sweeten that edge off. And I have some crushed ginger just out of the jar. A little bit of that. And some crushed garlic. So easy. And some curry powder, just some basic curry powder. Plenty of that in. I'm going to give that all a toss. Move those spices around, coating everything with oil and spices. Cook out some of the liquid, adding a bit more olive oil, and get all those vegetables defrosting. The liquid's going to come out of them. It's going to blend with the spices, and then as it cooks down, it's going to cook into a really nice base. And now we're adding the mince. Get that mixed around. Just mix it through. You can always add some more. And what I'm going to do with the rest is I then bag up this mince and put it in the freezer so that we can grab it out and just use it whichever way we like. My daughter likes to grab them out and mix a bit of tomato paste with it and put it over pasta, so it's Takes her minutes to do that. Get that all mixed through. I'm going to add some canned coconut cream. Just going to taste test and make sure that don't need to add anything. Just a couple of big scoops of canned coconut cream. Get that mixed around. All of those spices and the liquid off the frozen vegetables has made a beautiful base, almost like a sauce. And then I'm going to put the lid on and just let that simmer. Meanwhile, the pie is done. This is the quince and apple pie, and the meat pie is done, and the curry is slowly cooking away, smelling delicious. On the side, I've boiled some brown rice, and I'm going to put some of the curry on the rice. I'm going to add some Greek yogurt. This is my favorite way to have it. I love it like this. And let's taste. So good, so warming, and heaps and heaps of leftovers, and it has taken no time to make. 2 pies and a curry in probably a bit over an hour. Quick and easy, and the quince pie has turned out delicious. This will not last long in our house. And as you can see in the background, I have put some pizza bases on and they're rising. And now I'm going to cut my daughter a piece. Thank you for hanging out with me today while I cook quince and apple pie and a meat pie and an extremely warming, very cozy curry. If you'd like to subscribe, I would appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.